What's going on, everybody? It's DotBets. We're checking back in. We have our Week 15 NFL DFS plus props show coming at you guys live with the On the Dot Friday night edition with my main man, Sidekick Picks. How are we feeling this evening?
Doing good. I'm glad you included me this time.
And what?
Well, you didn't quote me on or
Oh, on
tweet
the
me on
tweet.
Twitter,
Oh,
so
he's still a little rattled. Yeah. Yeah. I sent out the tweet for the little hype tweet and I forgot him. So that is on me.
feeling a
So we
little
appreciate
left
you
out
guys.
today.
Yeah. No, we're good. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, we will go over. This is a weird slate with those 3 Saturday games. So we will go over the Saturday slate strategy real quick and tell you how to kind of attack those those 3 games, and then we'll go after our Sunday main slate, and then we're going to go after stacks, sleepers, and then a lot of props and anytime touchdowns. So a lot of information coming at you guys here next 45 minutes to an hour or so. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys have any questions at all, throw them in the chat and we will answer them on air. So Side, how are we feeling? What are you thinking about this Week 15 slate?
Yeah, so it was a little difficult to kind of dive into it on a Friday, just because of lines. So some of the games that we really wanted to target, the lines weren't available yet, but we're gonna throw that in here and kind of give you guys a little extra, some extra things to look out for as lines start to drop. But this is probably the best time of the year. We got football for like the next 18 days, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Tons and tons of action. So it's
college
exciting.
college football, and then we got Saturday NFL and Sunday. So it's a good time right now.
Yeah. Next week we'll have the main slate is on Saturday, so we should have a bunch more props obviously available next Friday to us. But we have a lot to throw at you guys. Just to dive into the Saturday slate, we are, strategy wise for DFS, we're always going to keep stacking. You're going to more than likely just heavier stack and get exposure to maybe one game, 3x2, 4x2, and 4x1. So what I mean by that, maybe probably dial in. What a lot of people are going to do is that Colts Vikings game. You pick 4 Colts, Ryan, Pittman, Taylor, and Pierce, and you bring it back with maybe Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. So you have a lot of exposure to that one game, or you can 4x1 it and maybe just bring back Justin Jefferson. So that's the main strategy when you have those 2 to 3 game slates, is to make sure that most of your exposure is in the one game that goes off. I know the Dolphins and the Bills game has some weather concern. If you have a lot more risk tolerance and you can say, hey, if the field's all about this Vikings Colts game, you can end up saying, let's go against the grain here and pivot to this Dolphins Bills game and hope that it doesn't have a lake snow effect. So that's kind of how you get a little bit different on this on the Saturday. What do you think about your strategy here for tomorrow?
Yeah, I like that a lot. As a Colts fan, I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage with picking kind of some sleepers from this Colts game. So, just to kind of point out here, if you're looking to get really deep into it, you already mentioned Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce, but Ashton Doolin is a high flyer. He's a guy that is probably not going to be heavily involved, but he is a red zone threat. So if you're looking for kind of like a boomer bust guy, a guy that could potentially catch a touchdown and be kind of a game changer in your DFS, Ashton Doolin's a guy you can look out for. Granson's another guy. He's kind of hit or miss from the tight end position. But he's used as a flex receiver. Will line up and slot, got some speed to him. So I like him. But then you have Jelani Woods, who is again another hit or miss guy, but he's a guy that they heavily use in the red zone. and he'll be the guy that brings in a touchdown as well. So if you're looking to kind of stack this game and you kind of want that edge, I would kind of look to try and play one of those guys, just because I don't think a lot of people are going to play them.
Yeah, and knowing you, knowing the Colts, I would listen to exactly what you just said. Knowing teams is definitely you know, the deep roster of them always helps with these short slates because you guys can pick out those deep sleepers that maybe blow up for you to jump all up those leaderboards. Um, One game we didn't touch on yet was the Ravens Browns. You want any exposure to that game? If so, who are you targeting on that one?
I don't mind Peoples. I don't mind Njoku. I think Njoku is going to have a pretty solid day tomorrow, and I mean you can never go wrong with Chubb or Drake. So, but yeah, I just think that if you're looking for kind of a deeper sleep pick here, there's a lot of depth to this Colts roster that they use. But I like those guys for the Browns and the Ravens.
Yeah, I like DPJ. He's got the deep ball threat, and the offensive coordinator for the Browns has said that he wants to open it up for Deshaun. We'll see how much openness it gets to, but you guys will see that I am on Njoku this week for
Yeah.
a prop, so I wouldn't mind playing him as your tight end this week. I know Hawkinson will be pretty good for the Saturday slate, but yeah, overall, just make sure you guys are, if you're stacking one game, you can 3x2 it, 4x1, or 4x2. Those are the three different ways you guys can get a little bit more different than the field to get up those leaderboards. If you have any other of those questions, shoot them in the chat or shoot them in the Discord to us, and we'll make sure to answer them for you guys. Any more strategy involved in the Saturday slate as well. So
You got a running back you like?
On the Saturday slate?
Yeah.
My sleeper-ish is probably J.K. Dobbins, just because I think he's still
Oh, that's what
undervalued
I
and
meant.
underpriced.
I said Drake, didn't I? Don't play Drake. Play Dobbins. Sorry.
Yeah, he didn't look 100%, but I still think he's effective. He
Yeah.
still ran for over 100 yards.
Or I mean, Gus Edwards has had tons of success against the Browns too. I was looking at his touchdown props today, and he's scored in just about every game facing the Browns. So if Dobbins has some question mark issues, I think Edwards might be a decent play too.
Yeah, because I think Mostert will be very highly owned with that weather issue there, and then you got Cook and you got Taylor. So I think this game, the Browns Ravens game, provides some value if you want to get a little bit different here on Saturday. So yeah, we'll switch over to the main slate, which is our main focus here on the dot here for the Sunday. We got a 10-game slate. Who are you targeting stack wise? Overall slate preference? What is an easy build week? What do you think about overall main slate thoughts here?
So I actually did out about 4 different stacks, and I try to compare them, which I kind of do every week. But initially, I was looking at this Jets Detroit game just because there's so much value with playing against Detroit. But I really like this Kansas City stack. And if you're looking at the price difference, it was only $1,500 more to stack the Chiefs this week than it was for the Detroit Lions and the Jets, which is insane. So a Patrick Mahomes, $8,100. So yeah, you're paying for what you get here. Projected 25.4 points with a ceiling of 33. Pacheco going up against a terrible, probably the worst rush defense in the league. Only $5,900, projected 15.2 with a ceiling of 22.3. Travis Kelce is a must play. $7,800, 18.7 projected points, 27.8 as his ceiling. And we were on Schultz last week, and he blew up. And they play the Texans. So just another good spot for an elite tight end to do what he does. And I'm gonna bring it back with Chris Moore on the other side.
Oof.
Who had I think 12 targets last week.
Yeah. If you tuned into the stream, we literally said if you need anybody else to fill your roster, you need anybody to get a little bit different, take anybody from the Texans because they're just going to get, they have the volume. They have to have the volume. And all of a sudden, Chris Moore just blows up.
There he is.
So, yeah, boom. Yeah, I think he had like 20 plus DK points or something like that. So,
insane. And he's cheap this week. So he's $4,200, 15.4 projection, and 22 ceiling. And Kansas City doesn't cover the pass very well. So we could see, I mean, I don't think we're going to see the same production as he did last week, but for $4,200 coming back on the other side with literally no one else to play from the other side, I think that's the guy you got to target in this stack.
And Brooks has a pretty good comment here. McKinnon has been very good for this team lately. Has gotten a bunch more red zone targets, carries. So if you want to pivot off the Pacheco chalk, 100% you could go McKinnon. I'm on that train as well. I like Pacheco, and I think he's going to have a good game. But I think ceiling wise, McKinnon kind of always jumps him there in upside. And so if you're trying to get up to those tops of those leaderboards, I think pivoting off of Pacheco slightly to McKinnon might be the way to go. Depends on what contest you're into. So if you're in high risk GPP, I think that's the way to go. Low risk, I think it's more of a Pacheco play.
It's not as chalky as you would think. He's only owned in 12.9% of leagues, and McKinnon right now is 8.1.
So it's not too big, yeah.
So the difference isn't terrible here.
I think McKinnon's 5,200. I think so. Yeah, you get a $700 salary relief, but we'll see how much that when you're building lineups, see how much how you can get a little bit different. You throw McKinnon in there, vice versa to Pacheco. So yeah, my top stack of the week. We're gonna go to the Dallas versus the Jaguars game. I think this has a 50+ point potential in this one. It's been two offensive teams that have been top 5 the last 3 games. And I know the Cowboys had a little bit of a scare. Maybe that scares away some people, scares away some of the chalk here. But I'm going to take my chances here with Dak, roll with Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, and then bring it back with Christian Kirk. It's not that as expensive as a stack as you may think. Dak hasn't been a superstar, but he obviously has the upside there. And as long as the Jaguars, which I think they can stop the run, they'll have to use Pollard for the pass game, and then you always have CeeDee Lamb willing to explode there. And if you want to get different variations of this, you can always go Dak with Lamb and Gallup, or Dak with Lamb and Schultz, and then bring it either back with Kirk. The other one that I really like this week is ETN. I think he's got receptions to be 5, 6, 7, maybe the 8 range there, depending on the game script. And then you have also Zay Jones, who has shown his ability to have those big games. I know it seems like Kirk and Zay are like one off, one on. And if it's the case right now, it'd be Kirk. It'd be a Christian Kirk game. So I lean a little bit more towards Kirk. So this stack here to my right on the screen is the way I'm building most of my lineups and then filling in from there.
Yeah, I love this stack, by the way. If you're going to play this stack, I think you have to play a running back from Dallas. Again, we had a question last week, would you play both of them? And we said play Pollard. You could have played either one, and it would have been fine, but Pollard, again, had more upside with the 2 touchdowns. Jacksonville's defense against the run isn't very good, so we should see another productive outcome from both of these guys again. I like Schultz this week.
Yeah. Yep. So you can't go wrong with Schultz.
Yeah. So I think he's getting a ton of value. He's actually one of my, he's not really a sleeper,
Yeah.
but he's one of my sleeper picks because he's so cheap. $4,400, 11.9 projection, 17.1 as his ceiling. So this is a guy that you can get pretty cheap that's going to put up similar numbers to what Etienne or Kirk are going to put up on the other side of the ball.
Yeah. And I don't think I would stack the Jacksonville side. I mean, I think you can if you're playing if you're 150 maxing. I'm a
I don't
20
know if
max
I
player.
would.
If I'm 150 and I'm 100% doing a whole game stack here, but 20 max, you got to limit kind of how you want to establish your game stacks. And I lean a little bit more towards the Dallas side in this matchup, and then hopefully bringing it back with the right guy in maybe just in those different lineups that you build. So you could end up, if you're going 150 max, and go with the Jaguars. I would recommend starting and stacking the 3-1, starting with the Cowboys. You got another stack for us?
Yeah. So my next favorite stack, and this one is expensive, but it should bring in a ton of points. And I think because of the price on the players, it might scare people away,
Yep.
which is why I dove a little bit deeper on sleeper picks this week. And we actually have a chart for sleeper picks this week, so you can try to plug those guys in as well. But this Chargers versus Tennessee game should be a good one to target. Again,
Yep.
very expensive. For example, Justin Herbert, $7,200, projected 23.4 with a ceiling of 30.5. Eckler, $8,500, 22 points with a ceiling of 30.2. You could mix and match with Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, but obviously I prefer Keenan Allen, $6,800, 17.3 projection, 24.2 ceiling, and then you bring it back with Derrick Henry, who's super chalky. I want to say, I'm gonna look it up right now, but yeah, 20.4% is his ownership. So
Let's see.
super chalky on that end of it, but again, you're piecing it with all those other guys,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a beautiful four. I don't think you get a better four
I
than
think the only other way you can get a little bit cheaper here is if you take off Eckler and you go Williams. That's the only way. But I still think
right.
that's great. I mean, the four that you got there, obviously, no one's going to
Yeah,
complain playing those four. But the way you can get a little bit different, a little bit cheaper, is to maybe go off maybe one of the two. If you don't want to do Eckler, you maybe go Eckler Williams, or you go Eckler Palmer, or you go Allen Palmer, or Williams Palmer.
yeah.
Then you bring it back with Derrick Henry. I don't think there's much else to bring it back with, unless you want to bring it back with Conquo from the tight end position. I still think this is Derrick Henry 100%
Absolutely.
running back with. He's in a smash spot, and the Chargers are in a smash spot. It's just two defenses do the exact same, do the exact opposite, and you do attack their strengths. So there's no question this is by far the best stack that you can build this week. It's how you can make your pieces flow with it. So I'm right there with you on this.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't really talked about on this show is how to get kind of affordable pieces around this. So one strategy that I'm pretty sure you're on board with this is going super cheap on defense.
Oh
Because
yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, the defense doesn't really factor in as much. And sometimes you can get a super cheap defense that has a good matchup and can score you some points. So for example, the Broncos defense this week facing Colt McCoy in Arizona, it's $2,700. Again,
Yep.
this is super chalky, but you can fit this in instead of paying up for like a $4,000 Chiefs defense or a $3,400 Cardinals defense. So
Yep.
just another way that you can kind of go cheap in another area to build this stack up.
And I'm always a fan of punting the tight end position, but when you have Kelsey on your slate, you literally have to say, okay, I'm either going all in on playing
Right.
Travis Kelsey, or I'm absolutely punting the position. So in my eyes this week, unless you're stacking the Chiefs, I'm gonna fade Travis Kelce because they're 14-point favorites. He's got to do something quick and early, unless you're stacking them and hope for a big game. But I think you can, if you want to pay up for more expensive stacks like this is where you're going to have to go cheaper at the tight end. Obviously, go cheap at the defense and have some cheap running backs around it. So I'm all in here with this.
You said it too. I mean, obviously, this wouldn't factor into this stack because we're suggesting other people, but a Conquo is $3,100, and that's a guy that is projected to get you around 10 points this week.
Yep. So yeah, I'm right there with you. The only other stack that I would recommend possibly doing, I'm on the bubble with this one, but is maybe the Eagles 3-0 or 2-0 stacking, because I don't know who to run it back with on the Bears side. I can't run it back with Justin Fields. I would love to, but I'm not going to stack the Bears. And I mean, you could maybe run it back with Montgomery. I just don't think he's going to have, an explosive game to be, 1%-ish. So that's why
Komet's too expensive for me to play.
Yeah,
coming back, and Claypool's out too.
And Claypool's out. Yeah, so I don't. Harry, maybe. I mean, N'Keal Harry. I don't. It's ugly, and I recommend probably playing a Philly, AJ Brown or a Hurts, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith stack, or just go Hurts, AJ Brown, and then fill out your lineup accordingly. But just don't bring anybody back from the Bears. So that'd be another stack that I'm kind of floating around with, maybe doing a 3-0. You could always kind of flirt with the Bengals stack, but probably where most of my what's up?
I have it like a
Oh, I already know where you're going with this.
Oh, dude, I love it. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The Falcons Saints.
Oh Jesus.
I don't know. I just have a feeling. I don't think a lot of people are going to play it. And you got Ritter, who is mobile. It's his time to shine. I think you can get some solid points for him, and he's super cheap. I think he's like $5,200 or $5,600, if I remember correctly. You got Drake London, who just had one of his best games last week, and I think Ritter gets him the ball. You can go Patterson, or you could do you like 2-2? Like, would you do Kamara and Olave on the other side? Or
no, I'd pick one of them.
So you would pick one of them?
Yeah.
So you would have to do London, Patterson, Ritter, and then I prefer Kamara in this one.
The only way I just can't get to this game is because I have not seen these two offenses support two different elite guys. That's the only way I haven't. I mean, this is extreme risk right here. So if you want to play it, go right ahead. And if it smashes, then we're going to clip this and say, sidekick is, a sidekick.
If you're looking at ownership, this is the only reason why I bring it up. Okay. Ownership on Ritter, 0.7%.
Yep.
London, 9.3. Patterson, 0.8. So like if you're, I mean, I think we'll get some points from these guys. Will it be anything like that Charger stack? I don't know, but I kind of like this angle on it.
Oh yeah, I'm just going to go on the record and say it's very, very high risk a stack there. And Tone Step in the comments says the only way he would stack the Bengals is go Burrow, Mixon, and Chase, which you can definitely do. I'm probably going to be okay with playing Higgins this week. I know it's kind of a little bit more risky with that hamstring. I'm gonna fade Boyd. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done this weekend. So if you are stacking the Bengals side, you can't go wrong with Mixon or Chase, but you could go Chase and Higgins still. Not to be. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Tone here. It's really a safe play here for Higgins to not play too effectively either. So it is a high risk one that you could get to. But my top one is going to be Dallas, Jacksonville, and then more than likely play a 3-0 Philly stack because they're just unstoppable. They score 50 points a game. It's just unbelievable. Just stack the Eagles and stack money easily. Just do that. All right. So you got any sleepers to help out with your expensive Chargers
Yeah. So
that
I
you're
have
wanting to run with?
I have 4 sleepers for you. We talked about 2 of them already, but we have Elijah Moore at $3,600, and I put this in before the Zach Wilson news,
Yep.
and we all know that Wilson doesn't really like to target Elijah Moore. So I don't know if I would play this anymore. But again, that Detroit pass defense is terrible. At $3,600 though, if you need a guy, Elijah Moore is projected 10.4 with a ceiling of 14.6. All about Chris Moore this week, which we talked about earlier. Dalton Schultz, I think, is a good value play at tight end. And then Nelson Aguilar at $3,400, projected 14.1 with a 20.5 ceiling at $3,400.
No, yeah, I like all 4 of these. I'd probably not do Elijah Moore now with Wilson starting. But no, I'd like the game plan. If it was Mike White, 3,600, absolutely.
Yeah.
You could throw him in as a flyer there. The one guy that I like that's very, very cheap and has potential is Rex Burkhead this week now with all those injuries.
Yeah.
And now Damian Pierce is out. So
that's a good find.
I probably wouldn't go, maybe because I'm just not stacking the Chiefs Texans game because I can't trust too many people coming back for the Texans. But if you did want to stack that game, you can 100% bring Burkhead back or just play Burkhead as a running back flyer for you guys in there. So it's always you wouldn't think Rex Burkhead ever gets mentioned again, and then he just finds his way back into DFS land every single season.
Yep.
It's just wild.
And he can catch the ball in the backfield too. So
yep, exactly. Yeah. So if they're a negative game script, yeah, I think what's his he's at 4,600. So not incredibly cheap, but he can give you guys some salary relief there in your lineups. And then the other one that I was heavily on last week that broke my heart was Deontay Foreman. I'm going to go back to the well here. That tends to be what a lot of DFS players don't do is once someone gets burned by somebody, they let them go. And usually that following week, they have a pretty dang good bounce back week. I think Foreman at 3% ownership coming in at 5,400 is somebody that can definitely maybe score 2 touchdowns because a lot of people are talking up Chuba Hubbard and Blackshear with their output last week, but Foreman is the lead back, and they really, really want to establish Foreman to get 20 plus carries a week. They absolutely ran over the Seahawks last week. I think they combined for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers, you can do that exact same thing against them. Their edge rushers are amazing. Their interior defensive line is horrific. You can run right up the middle against them. I like Foreman this week, so give me. I mean, I'm going to be way over the field on Foreman, maybe like 20-25% of my lineups. Then the other one receiver wise I wanted to say was Mike Evans. Okay, he's coming in at under 10% ownership. Just he should never come in under 10% ownership. He has the capability again to catch 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go on upside here and go against the field, play a little bit more Evans than the field, maybe about 15-20% as well on Evans. So give me Evans, a little bit more in Foreman, and then a lot more of Burkhead this week for sleepers. You got anybody else?
No, that's all I got for this week.
All you got for that? Okay. All right. So if you guys do have any other questions regarding the DFS main slate, anything regarding tomorrow's slate, make sure you guys hit us up in the comments. And if not tonight, if you guys are watching the replay of this, hit us up in the Discord. We'll answer any questions for you guys. Just make sure you guys tag us and we'll get you guys situated. All right. So now we will get into the prop bets of the week. If you guys tuned in last week, we cashed nicely. I think we went 7-4 for about, I think, close to 5 units.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started off on the right track here. And as always, these are brought to you guys by props.cash. We use their platform religiously. Absolutely. That's the first thing I touch anytime before I click that submit button where you got to get it confirmed by props.cash. Make sure you guys use on the dot promo code for 25% off your monthly subscription there. So let's get into it. Side, what is your first prop for week 15?
All right, so I've been playing a lot of these SGP plays. So my first one is on DraftKings in the Dolphins-Bills game. Jalen Waddle over 39.5 receiving yards and Stephon Diggs over 59.5 receiving yards at plus 105. I think these are pretty low spots for both of these guys. Jalen Waddle has gone over this in 9 of 13 games. He hasn't hit it in the last two. One of those games he was hurt. And last week he came up a little short with 31. So I think this is a really good bounce back spot for him. I mean, he's just been an absolute animal this year, and I just think it's a good spot for him. And that Bills secondary is a little shaky. Diggs on the other side, again, 59.5 is a smash spot for him. 11 out of 13 times this season. When he faced Miami in the first week or in the first game this season, he had 74 receiving yards. Waddle had 102 against Buffalo in the first matchup. So both these guys are definitely capable of getting these yards against their defenses. And I think it's a good smash spot for both of them.
Yeah, no, I'm always a fan of these tease down same game parlays from you, and getting any of that at plus money. That's a no-brainer there.
Especially Diggs is, two elite guys.
Right. And I don't even think if it snows, they even have a problem getting this because they catch so many. Yeah. They catch so many intermediate passes that it's not the long ball that, lives or dies by these guys. So yeah, I'm always a fan of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and tail this one for sure. My first one is going to be go back on the Chargers Titans game. We're going to go Mike Williams over 65.5 receiving yards. You could have probably picked the over for all three. You could have done Palmer. You could have done Allen. You could do Eckler's over. Like everything over here, it screams it with this Tennessee pass funnel defense. It's you kind of see the peaks and valleys here with the props.cash graph. But if you dive deeper on, if you're on props.cash, you see their receiving yards versus Tennessee. There's multiple times where they've given up 80 or 70 plus to two receivers, 80 plus to two receivers, and 100 plus to two receivers. So you have the matchup. It screams Herbert to throw over 300 yards. You got a couple weeks ago, you had A.J. Brown go for 119. You had Devontae Smith go for 102. All I'm asking for is 66 yards. I think we can get this here with a couple deep balls to Mike Williams. Nobody can guard this guy in the league. It's just a matter of Herbert getting him open and throwing it to him. And I got no problem taking Williams over 65.5 here. I think we can cash this maybe in the first half.
I like it. Yeah, the only thing that's weird about Mike Williams this season is he's just been so inconsistent. So I'm hoping that this is the time where we get a little bit more consistency from him.
Yeah, I would think that just the matchup. They Tennessee stops you from running the football, and the Chargers don't even want to establish the run anymore. Like they don't. Like they just have given up, and they said, Herbert, you're going to throw 50 plus times now, and that's what we're going to have to do, and they're okay with it. So Pepper, Mike Williams, I think this number is way too low for his elite. For being one of the elite receivers in the league. So give me all of Mike Williams this week. What's your other play?
So I only found this on one book this morning. So you could take it now, or you could potentially wait to see if we get a better line with it. But I'm going Desmond Ridder over 24.5 rushing yards at minus 125. So in the 3 preseason games that we saw Ridder, he carried the ball 8 times for 58 yards. When Mariota faced New Orleans in week 1, he carried the ball 12 times for 72 yards. I think we're going to see a ton of read options from Ridder. They're going to want to get him out moving. I think he does it better than Mariota, and I think 25.5 is a good spot for this guy. I can see him carrying the ball at least 8 times. So 8 times from a mobile quarterback to get 25 yards. I think it's definitely doable, and I'm gonna bite on it.
All right, if he hits these bets for you, you have to promise you're going to buy a Ritter jersey. You have to. You're the only guy that I've ever heard in the whole industry this week on Ritter. So you have to buy a jersey and you have to rock it.
That's my guy.
You have to claim it. You have to be all on Ritter.
Him and Kyle J.
I love it. Yeah, I'm just going to let you have that. I mean, I haven't watched Ritter. I don't know much about Desmond Ritter. Obviously, he wasn't good enough to play in front of Mariota, so I'm trying to figure out how he can be successful moving forward. But hey, kudos to Side here. He likes them. I'm going to ride with them. Let's go. I'm going to go with another quarterback, though. I'm going to go with probably one that a lot of people will ride with this week. We're going to go Josh Allen. Over 7.5 rush attempts. It's a little more juice than I prefer. It's tinkered between minus 120, minus 125-ish, and I ultimately just said, screw it, I'm going to take it at 130. So he's hit this in 3 straight games. He's hit this in 4 of 6. He has shown that down the stretch, he's going to be the main guy that carries his team to, what they want to be is Super Bowl contenders. So I think this guy deep down is going to, one, take the reins in the red zone. That's what they've always done with him because they have not established, James Cook, Singletary. They tried to, but Josh Allen is king for scrambling around the red zone and just to make plays against this Dolphins defense, which can cause some with their pressure rate, can cause for him to go outside the pocket and scramble. But if it does snow, I think this smashes, and I think if there's some type of weather effect, I still believe we can get 8 attempts from Josh Allen. I thought this was going to be more of the around the 8.5, 9.5, because you think he'd rush the ball for double digits 2 out of the last 3 games. So give me Josh Allen this week for over 7.5 for minus 130.
Yeah, I like it, especially since it's at home. Cold weather, and it's a divisional rival game. I think we're gonna see tough Josh Allen come out in this one. So
yeah. You never know. He might be nursing that elbow injury a little bit more. Just doesn't trust the deep ball as much. So screw it. Let's beat people with my legs, and that's what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. 10 rush attempts, 8 rush attempts, 10 rush attempts. So give me Josh Allen, and let's go Bills a little bit there. I got him in a couple of teasers. That's why I just need him to win the damn game. All right, you got your third and last one?
Yeah, so I'm going Dalton Schultz over 41.5 receiving yards at minus 115. Again, I think this guy has another big game, starting to get a little healthy, build that confidence back with Dak Prescott, and Jacksonville doesn't cover tight ends very well. If we look at Dalton Schultz, and this one's hard because he's been kind of hurt throughout the whole season, but he's hit it in 5 out of 11 games, which isn't that impressive, but this is a guy that can definitely do it. But if you look at tight ends that have faced the Jaguars this year, Okonkwo went over this. He had 45 yards. Hooper had 68. Andrews had 50. Kelsey had 81. Higbee had 48. Goddard had 72. And Logan Thomas had 45. So clearly they can't cover the tight ends, and 45.5 is definitely a spot I like for this guy.
Yeah, and the Logan Thomas game, that was from week 1. So I mean, they have not
right out the gate.
Yeah, they haven't done much to improve in that category whatsoever. So just target these guys. So yeah, I like that. I like that angle a lot. So give me, what is that, Schultz over 41.5? Yeah, I'm good with that. Especially stacking that game, having him as your tight end in DFS. I'm all about that. No big deal for me. I'll tell that. I'm going to go with another tight end for my last one. And as always, if you guys are tuning in, watching, if you guys have any questions over props that you guys may be on the fence about, please share them in the chat. We'll discuss them. We'll look up on props.cash for you guys and see what we would do. So make sure you guys throw those in the chat. But my last one here for the props is going to be David Njoku over 39.5 receiving yards. Another juiced one. It's minus 120. We're eating a little bit of juice this week, but I think these are pretty good matchups. If you've watched the last 2 weeks against the Ravens, they've gotten thrashed by, or last 3 weeks or so, they've gotten thrashed by tight ends. You had, I know Dolchich went for 85. Freiermuth missed a couple passes. He only ended up with 33, but I think he was heavily involved and part of the game plan. Njoku has been one of Watson's favorite targets. I think he owns close to about a 30% target share since Watson has came in the last 2 weeks. So he has relied heavily on him. And I just believe that I think we get a nice game. He already had 71 against the Ravens last time out. That was about 6 weeks or so ago. And he's an integral part of the offense. So I think this number, if you could go with his receptions as well, I'm not opposed to that. I think it's 3.5. If you want to take a little bit off of the juice wise, you can definitely go that route. But the receiving yards over 39.5 works for me this week for Njoku.
Yeah, I love this spot as well. As soon as you sent this out to me today, I immediately said I love it. So yeah, I definitely think this is a good spot for him. He's a guy that super athletic at the tight end position and can definitely you can get way above this. So
he ruined my my Bucks play a couple weeks ago with that one-handed damn catch in the end zone. Ruined me. So you think I'd be a little bit butthurt about him, but I said nope. I'm gonna make some money on him because he cost me some money,
Yeah.
All right. So those 6 props. If you guys are rewatching this, have any questions over anything, make sure you guys hit us up. So we'll go to a couple anytime touchdowns, and then we'll wrap it up with our best bets as well. And then we'll be here probably about 10 minutes or so. So if you guys have any other questions, make sure you guys throw them in the chat. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get to some anytime touchdown side.
All right. Going Desmond Ritter, anytime touchdown at plus 320 on DraftKings.
Okay, now you have to 100% buy a damn jersey if this one hits. 100%.
I just think it's really good value. Again, Mariota had the 12 carries week 1 against the Saints, and he got in. And one stat I wanted to point out that I didn't point out for his rushing yards. These are quarterbacks that have gone over rushing yards against New Orleans this season. Joe Burrow, 25 rushing yards. Mariota, 72. Jalen Hurts, 69. Pickett, 51. Kyler Murray, 30. And this guy is super athletic. Like, he's going to run more than Pickett. He's going to run more than Burrow. So I think this guy has a chance to get in the end zone. They'll probably run a read option somewhere down at the goal line. And at plus 320, it's a pretty good spot.
I'm not even going to say a word. I'm just going to tail it because this is a Ritter week. I'm all
I hope
for
so.
it.
I'm starting him in fantasy, so I'm trying to psych myself up a little bit.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to go with mine. First one is going to be Deontay Foreman. So I've talked to him heavily about being a sleeper. I think this week he can get in the end zone. If you watched the game last week after missing a couple weeks with the injury or missing a week or so, he had 4 or 3 rushes inside the 5-yard line and did not get in. So he's heavily used down in the red zone, and I believe with the interior defense of the Steelers that at plus 140, this is a great value over on FanDuel to get you an RB1 for a team favored by 3 points. I believe with not a very strong passing game, they lean heavily on the running backs. Foreman at plus 140 is a smash spot here, and like I said, I'm going to be overweight on him in DFS, and he had 4 red zone carries last week, 3 inside the 5-yard line, and did not get in. Believe we see a touchdown here from Deontay.
I like it.
You got one more?
I do.
Yep.
So kind of piggybacking off of you from last week. This is another smash spot for Tony Pollard.
Oh yeah.
Playing a very, very weak run defense in Jacksonville. And this guy has become a straight up touchdown machine lately. He has scored 2 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. He has scored a touchdown in 6 of the last 7. So, and we're getting at plus 115 on FanDuel. DraftKings is like minus 135. So, FanDuel has the better odds here. Love this play. I love him for, I mean, if you wanted to play 2 or even do what you did last week and take Pollard and Zeke again to score a touchdown, because Zeke's right there with touchdowns as well. So, but Pollard's my play for this week.
Yeah, and if you are keeping track at home, Pollard and Zeke have scored together in the last 5 of 6 games.
Crazy.
So I don't know what that same game parlay would be. I can figure that out real quick. Or if you got access to it real quick, you can.
Yeah, I'll do it.
We'll see. We did have a question. Someone just tagged me. This says, would you add Josh Allen's 25 plus rush yards to that same game parlay with Waddle and Diggs?
No.
Probably stay away.
Just initially, no. I think just because, well, shoot. Give me a second. I'll look it up. But initially,
his line's 50. His line's 50.
Let me see what it is.
So while you're looking at that, I'm going to go ahead and say my second anytime touchdown scorer, which Sidekick will absolutely love. And I'm surprised he wasn't the one who actually said this in the Discord chat. But it is Michael Pittman, anytime touchdown score, plus 210 on FanDuel. It just, for the number 1 option against the worst secondary in the league at plus 200 plus. I mean, it's just, you just have to take it just because of the value here. And if you want to get even crazier, you could take Alec Pierce. If you want to get even crazier than that, you could take one of the 2 tight ends. The only reason why I didn't take any of those, because I trust Pittman a little bit more than those other 3. And at plus 210, stupid good value here. So yeah, I'm all for Pittman. I have Pittman probably stacked on like 3 or 4 different anytime touchdown parlays. He's kind of an anchor in all of them. So I'm hoping, and I'm going a little bit more balls to the walls here with Michael Pittman at plus 210 than probably I should, but it's too good of a matchup to pass up. The tall wide receiver that can definitely get in the end zone this week.
The only thing that sucks with Pittman is he doesn't score a lot, and they either run or throw the ball to tight ends.
Yep, exactly.
In the red zone. That's the only thing that sucks. But this Vikings defense is pretty shaky.
It's horrible.
And he's got some wheels to him, so he can definitely catch one and go up the seam. But
and he's usually good for at least 1 to 2 red zone targets, probably a week, hopefully. And that's what I've been saying out of him. He did catch a touchdown pass against the Steelers a couple weeks ago. So let's get some magic here. We got Pittman plus 210. I'm all for it. So
I do want to go back to that Josh Allen one. I don't think it's a terrible play. But I think that 25 line is pretty right. I mean, he's gone over in the majority of his games, so which is why I'm leaning towards that's okay to play. But I just think that the value for the other 2 guys is so good that I wouldn't want to ruin the SGP for that.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I see it. I think you can add it. If you're cutting that line in half for a guy that has, I'm thinking he's going to at least run for eight attempts.
I mean, 40, it seems like 40 is the sweet spot for him.
Yeah. So I think 25 plus is pretty solid play. If you do want to get a little bit more risky with that same game parlay, not a problem to add that in my eyes. Side's a little bit hesitant, doesn't want to screw up his own SGP. I get it.
Well, and you like the over 7.5 rushing attempts. So if he is going to carry the ball 8 times,
right,
he should get 25 yards.
Definitely should. Yep. All right, we got your best bet to end the show. What do we got?
Did we want to quickly talk about the props we wanted to
Oh,
target, but they don't have before we get into it.
yep,
I
yep.
mean, it'll be super quick, but
Let's do it.
Chiefs, Pacheco lines would be for rushing would be a good target.
Hmm.
We wanted to target this line specifically, but it just didn't drop in time. I
It's
like
actually,
Trav.
I saw it right before the show, and it was 66.5. The best line was at BetMGM for -115. And it was
Okay.
all the way up to 70.5, I think, on PointsBet.
So I like an SGP with taking his yards a little cheaper and pairing it with Travis Kelce receiving yards. Again, the Texans struggle against the run. They're the worst rush defense in the league. So I like Pacheco there, and they are one of the worst defenses in the league covering tight ends. And Kelsey's just an absolute stud there. So
Yeah.
SGP for those two is
Yep.
probably one of my better bets that I'll be looking to take.
Good with that. Yeah, that was the only other one that I was really truly waiting on was the Pacheco rush yards that took forever to get there. But yeah, so if you are tuning in, make sure you guys grab that line. It was going to be considered one of my best bets. So now that it is posted, I'll add that to the show
Yeah.
and ride with 66.5. But my overall best bet of the week, it's going to be Saturday night or Saturday day. And we're going to go to Dalvin Cook over 68.5 rush yards against your Colts.
Not
And
happening.
they've given up 105 the last 3 weeks or 5 weeks in a row.
It's
So
a
they
fluke.
just they just haven't been very good against the run. Now you get one of the best running backs in the league coming in. I mean, they've given up, what is it? So it was 78 yards to Josh Jacobs, 86 to Jalen Hurts, 77 to Zeke, 91 to Pollard. It doesn't matter who's running the football, and as long as Cook gets the percentage of snaps that I believe he's going to get and what he's got in the last 3 weeks, he's gotten 82% of the snap share, 19 plus attempts the last 3 weeks. I'm not worried about Madison eating into any of his of the role here. So give me Dalvin Cook all day long, over 68.5 rush yards against your Indy Colts. Sorry to go against them. Had to.
All of that was painful to hear.
I figured. I did not purposely target the Colts either.
Yeah.
Just the prop spoke to me.
I say we quickly move on from this segment. My best bet is something I took last week. Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Gonna keep playing it until you stop him. It's a little more juice today. -130 on DraftKings, and the Chicago Bears are actually pretty decent at preventing passing touchdowns. But it's this Eagles offense. It doesn't matter. This guy's probably going to win the MVP. He's just an absolute stud. This offense is loaded. He's hit it in the last 3 games, and he's hit it in 7 of the last 8 games. So give me all of Jalen Hurts passing touchdowns.
You can't go wrong with Jalen Hurts whatsoever. The graph speaks for itself. The eye test speaks for itself. This offense is absolutely lethal. They don't even care if they're up by 4 or 5 touchdowns. They're still throwing the football. Sirianni just does not care. He wants to rub it in everybody's face that they're the best team in the league and they're just going to keep rolling. So I like it a lot.
We're going to have some nasty weather coming through the Midwest too, some lake effects. So it's already snowing here in South Bend. I'm sure it's snowing in Chicago. So hopefully that doesn't factor into it too much.
Yep. We got a couple comments here. Would you go with a Pacheco touchdown? What do you think, Side?
I mean, it screams, yeah. Look at what Dallas did to him last week. I mean, this defense is terrible against the run, so I love all rushing props against this team.
And you could go the same concept I did last week. You could go maybe a McKinnon, Pacheco, same game parlay touchdown, or a Pacheco 2 touchdown game. One of those 2 options I think can hit. But yeah, you definitely can consider Pacheco a touchdown. I think overall it's -115, so you're not getting plus money to it. And he has gotten a bunch of red zone rushes.
Yeah.
He's got a couple on the season already.
2 in his last 3. So they want to give this guy a chance down there. So think it's a good spot for him.
Yep, I like that. And then we got Hey Fam from Jay Fahad. So appreciate you tuning in, man. If we do have any other questions, we're going to wrap up. Any other final thoughts on the slate? Anything to wrap it up, DFS or prop wise side?
If you're looking for some action tomorrow, I think that Colts Vikings game is a good matchup. You can get some solid lines. I was gonna play it, but I didn't want to be that guy that just plays Colts props all the time. But I'm comfortable with it. I'm familiar with it. You can get Justin Jefferson down to like 78 receiving yards, and he's projected over 100. You can get Pittman around 54. You can get Pierce around 19. Campbell at 28. So these are guys that are extremely capable of producing, and I think pairing them in an SGP is pretty good. Taylor and Cook, you could probably pair and be safe. Well, depending, I would go Cook under, but because that Colts defense is going to stop them tomorrow. But no, I like what you played. I think that's a good target for tomorrow.
Yeah, and overall, I believe this DFS slate on Sunday, very, very self-explanatory. You're going to stack Dallas, you're going to stack either Philly, and you're going to either stack the Chargers, or maybe 3-0 or 3-1 stack the KC game as well. So clear stacks there, and then run them back with a piece in the game, and then piece them in with the sleepers we recommended, when there's some different value plays on their end. But overall, and if you guys haven't checked out Pickett Sports, make sure you guys check those guys out. You guys can track all your bets through them. A great feature there as well. So make sure you guys check those guys out at Pickett. But other than that, I think we get another profitable show. If we do have any last second comments as you guys are watching, make sure you guys hit us up in the Discord, and we'll be around the rest of the evening, rest of the weekend. So anytime you guys think of something, pop in there, tag us, and we'll give you a quick response. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to be here the same time next week, with the Saturday slate being the main slate, same type of show. So we'll get after it again next week. Appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys.
Have a good one.